There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise of the world becomes too loud, and the whisper inside you becomes too soft. You wake up one day and realize that the life you're living is not the life you once dreamed of. The routines, the expectations, the pressure, they all start to feel like chains, holding you back from becoming who you were meant to be. But there is a secret, the number one secret, that can break those chains and give you back the pen to your own story. The secret is this: you must choose yourself. Every single day, in every single moment, you must decide that your life, your peace, your dreams, and your purpose matter. Taking control of your life doesn't start with a big decision. It begins with one small, powerful choice. I am worthy of more. When you make that choice, everything changes. The world doesn't suddenly become easier. People don't suddenly start treating you better. Your challenges don't magically disappear. But you become different. Your perspective shifts. Your boundaries strengthen. Your belief grows. And once you believe in your own worth, you stop asking for permission to live. You stop apologizing for wanting a life that feels right in your soul. You stop shrinking yourself to fit places you've outgrown. You stop dimming your light because others are uncomfortable with your glow. Taking control of your life means understanding that every decision you make is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Are you voting for fear, or are you voting for faith? Are you choosing doubt, or are you choosing courage? Are you choosing comfort, or are you choosing growth? There is incredible power inside you. Power to rebuild, reinvent, redirect, restart. Power to walk away from what breaks you. Power to create what inspires you. Power to speak life into your dreams, even when no one else sees the vision. The truth is, life will not hand you control. You must claim it. You must step into it. You must own it. You take control when you stop living in the past and start living from your possibilities. You take control when you say yes to your purpose and no to anything that dishonors your peace. You take control when you realize that you are not defined by your mistakes, your circumstances, or the limitations others place on you. You are defined by what you decide to rise from. As long as you are breathing, your story is still being written, and the pen, whether you realize it or not, has always been in your hands. Today, choose to write a chapter that honors your strength, your truth, your future. The number one secret to taking control of your life is choosing yourself. Fully, fearlessly, unapologetically. Because when you finally choose yourself, your life begins to choose you back. Choosing yourself first is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of deep self-respect and inner awakening. It means understanding that your life will always mirror the value you place on yourself. When you choose yourself, you are choosing to honor your needs, your dreams, your health, your peace, and your emotional truth. Most people go through life placing everyone else above themselves, carrying responsibilities they were never meant to carry, saying yes when their heart is begging them to say no, and shrinking themselves so others can feel more comfortable. Over time, this creates exhaustion, resentment, and a quiet sadness that grows in the unseen corners of the soul. Choosing yourself first is the moment you stop abandoning your own needs in order to keep the world satisfied. It is the moment you decide that you deserve the same love, support, and attention you freely give to others. When you choose yourself, you begin to reclaim your energy. You stop pouring your strength into situations that drain you, and you start investing that energy into your own healing and growth. This choice becomes the foundation for taking control of your life, because it shifts your inner voice from doubt to clarity, and from fear to confidence. Choosing yourself helps you realize that you are the one person who will walk with you from your first breath to your last, and that relationship deserves to be nurtured with loyalty and compassion. When you take care of yourself, when you listen to your needs, when you honor your boundaries, you build a life that aligns with your purpose, rather than a life shaped by external expectations. Choosing yourself often requires courage, because the world is not always kind to people who put their well-being first. You may face judgment, criticism, or confusion from those who are benefiting from your lack of boundaries. But choosing yourself means trusting that your peace is more important than their approval. It means understanding that people who truly love you will never ask you to compromise your mental or emotional health. When you choose yourself, you start attracting relationships that uplift you instead of draining you, and opportunities that align with your values instead of your fears. This choice also empowers you to say no without guilt. No to situations that steal your joy. No to people who do not respect your time or your worth. No to habits that block your progress. No to environments that make you feel small. Every no you speak becomes a yes to something better. A yes to clarity. A yes to confidence. A yes to rest. A yes to healing. A yes to the life you truly want. Choosing yourself teaches you that saying no is not rejection. It is redirection toward your highest potential. Choosing yourself first also means giving yourself permission to grow. You allow yourself to evolve beyond old stories, outdated beliefs, and limiting patterns. You stop carrying guilt for things that were never your responsibility. You forgive yourself for moments of weakness, and you celebrate yourself for moments of strength. You accept that you are a work in progress, and that progress is a journey, not a race. Choosing yourself means making time for your dreams, even when life feels overwhelming. It means taking steps toward the vision you hold inside you, even when doubt whispers in your ear. When you choose yourself, you create a life built on authenticity instead of survival. You stop living from a place of reaction and begin living from a place of intention. You take control of your choices, your emotions, your boundaries, and your destiny. And slowly, as you choose yourself again and again, you realize that the power to transform your life was always within you. Setting clear boundaries is one of the most powerful acts of self-protection and self-respect, because it teaches the world how to treat you and reminds you how to treat yourself. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are lines of love that keep your peace safe, your energy balanced, and your mind grounded. So many people live without boundaries because they fear disappointing others, losing relationships, or being judged as selfish. But the truth is that the absence of boundaries does not create closeness. It creates discomfort, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. When you fail to set limits, you silently allow people, situations, and expectations to take more from you than you can give, leaving you drained and disconnected from your own needs. Setting clear boundaries begins with understanding what your spirit needs to stay healthy. It requires you to listen to your emotional signals, your stress levels, your patterns of discomfort, and the moments when you feel overwhelmed. These signals are not weaknesses, they are messages from your inner self reminding you of what is too heavy or too harmful. When you pay attention and respond with clarity and honesty, you begin to build a life that supports your emotional well-being rather than draining it. Boundaries are also acts of courage because they require you to speak your truth, even when your voice trembles. You must be willing to say no without guilt, to say yes with intention, and to say enough when something or someone crosses the line. Many people struggle with this because they have been conditioned to believe that their value comes from pleasing others. But you cannot pour from an empty heart, and you cannot give when you are emotionally depleted. Every time you choose to set a boundary, you reclaim a piece of your power, and that power strengthens your life from the inside out. Setting boundaries helps you protect your time, which is one of the most precious resources you have. When you allow people to misuse your time, you lose moments that could have been invested in your goals, your healing, your rest, or your joy. A clear boundary teaches others that your time is meaningful, and that you honor yourself enough to guard it. This shifts the dynamic of your relationships, because people begin to see you as someone who understands their worth, and refuses to compromise it. Boundaries also protect your energy. There are people who uplift your spirit, and people who drain it without even realizing it. When you create limits around your emotional space, you choose to surround yourself with energy that inspires you rather than energy that weakens you. You become more aware of the conversations you allow, the environments you tolerate, and the behaviors you no longer accept. This awareness shapes your emotional health and gives you the clarity to walk away from negativity without fear. Setting boundaries strengthens your relationships because healthy connections are built on clarity, respect, and mutual understanding. When you communicate your needs, your limits, and your expectations, you give others the chance to show up for you in a meaningful way. Relationships without boundaries create confusion, but relationships with boundaries create trust. People know where they stand with you, and you know what you can safely give without harming yourself. Most importantly, boundaries protect your peace. Peace is a form of internal wealth that you cannot afford to lose. When you let people cross your limits, you allow chaos to enter your mind and disrupt your stability. But when you stand firm in your boundaries, you guard your emotional world like a sacred space. You learn to prioritize your mental health, and you honor the truth that not everything or everyone deserves access to your heart. Setting clear boundaries is not just a skill, it is a lifestyle. It is choosing yourself every day. It is valuing your time, your energy, your emotions, and your worth. And when you master this, you take control of your life in ways you never imagined. Letting go of the past is one of the deepest acts of liberation you can give yourself, because the memories, regrets, and emotional wounds you hold on to shape the way you live, the way you love, and the way you see your future. Many people carry their past like a heavy suitcase that never leaves their hands. Every disappointment, every mistake, every heartbreak, and every failure becomes another piece of weight that slows them down. They replay conversations in their minds. They relive moments that should have been released long ago, and they allow old pain to influence their decisions in the present. But life cannot move forward when your heart is stuck behind you. Letting go is not forgetting. It is choosing to free yourself from what can no longer serve your growth. Letting go means accepting that the past cannot be changed, no matter how much you wish it could be rewritten. It means facing the truth that some people were only meant to be chapters, not entire stories. Some experiences were lessons, not lifelong punishments. Some endings were protection, not rejection. The moment you understand this, you stop looking back with bitterness and start looking forward with possibility. You slowly release the grip that pain once had on your identity, and you begin to realize that your future deserves a version of you that is not burdened by what happened yesterday. Letting go also requires forgiveness, not because the people who hurt you deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. It does not mean excusing the behavior or allowing it back into your life. It means choosing to stop allowing the memory of that behavior to control your heart. Holding on to anger may feel like strength, but it is the quiet thief that steals your sleep, your joy, and your clarity. When you forgive, you are not saying what happened was right. You are simply refusing to let it define your life any longer. Letting go of the past also means forgiving yourself. This is often the most difficult part, because people tend to blame themselves more harshly than they blame anyone else. You may replay the decisions you made, the signs you ignored, the opportunities you missed, or the moments you wish you could redo. But self-punishment does not create healing. It creates shame, and shame keeps you stuck. When you forgive yourself, you begin to see that every mistake taught you something valuable. Every loss shaped your strength, and every challenge prepared you for the wisdom you carry now. Letting go allows you to reclaim your power. When you release the past, you stop giving it permission to influence your future. You stop allowing old fears to block new opportunities. You stop letting past relationships shape your self-worth. You begin to make decisions from clarity instead of trauma, and from confidence instead of fear. You start living from what you want instead of what you survived. This shift changes everything, because you move from a mindset of pain to a mindset of possibility. Letting go also opens the door to new beginnings. When you hold on to the past, your hands are too full to receive anything new. But when you release what is no longer meant for you, life begins to send you people, paths, and blessings that align with the person you are becoming. You start noticing opportunities you once overlooked. You begin feeling lighter, more hopeful, and more connected to your inner truth. The future becomes something you walk toward instead of something you fear. Ultimately, letting go of the past is an act of faith. It is trusting that what lies ahead is greater than what you left behind. It is believing that you deserve a life that feels whole, peaceful, and intentional. And once you let go, you give yourself the freedom to rise into the future with strength, clarity, and courage. Owning your decisions is one of the most empowering commitments you can make to yourself, because it places the responsibility for your life back into your own hands. Every choice you make, whether big or small, shapes the direction of your future. Many people move through life making decisions based on fear, pressure, or the expectations of others, and then wonder why their lives feel unfulfilled or disconnected from their true desires. When you choose to own your decisions, you begin to understand that you are the creator of your path, and every step you take reflects the kind of life you are building. Owning your decisions means accepting that you have the right to choose what aligns with your values, your peace, and your personal growth. It means no longer waiting for approval from others before taking action. It requires courage to stand firmly in your choices, especially when those choices challenge the beliefs of those around you. But the moment you start making decisions from your truth, rather than from fear, you begin to live a life that feels authentic and grounded in purpose. Many people avoid taking ownership of their decisions because they fear making the wrong choice. They fear failure, judgment, or disappointment. But indecision is also a decision, and it often leads to missed opportunities and regrets that linger for years. When you own your choices, you stop allowing fear to control you. You begin to trust your inner wisdom, and that trust becomes your source of strength. Not every decision will lead to success, but every decision will teach you something valuable. Some choices will open doors, while others will guide you through lessons you needed to learn. Both outcomes shape your character and deepen your understanding of yourself. Owning your decisions also means being accountable for the consequences, whether they are positive or difficult. Accountability is not about blaming yourself. It is about acknowledging your role in the choices you made and learning from them with honesty and compassion. When you accept responsibility, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as an active participant in your own story. This shift in mindset allows you to grow, adapt, and improve without carrying the weight of shame. You begin to understand that mistakes are simply moments of learning, not definitions of your worth. When you own your decisions, you also reclaim your confidence. Confidence does not come from always making the right choices. It comes from making choices with clarity and standing by them, even when the outcome is uncertain. Confidence grows every time you trust yourself enough to take action. It grows when you honor your intuition. It grows when you choose a path that aligns with your heart, rather than pleasing others. This kind of confidence becomes the foundation for a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Owning your decisions also helps you build healthier relationships. When you make clear choices and communicate them openly, you create honesty and trust in your connections. People begin to understand your boundaries, your priorities, and your values. You no longer fall into patterns of people-pleasing or silent resentment. Instead, you show up in relationships as someone who respects themselves enough to choose what is right for their emotional well-being. This honesty allows others to respect you in return. Most importantly, owning your decisions gives you freedom. Freedom to change your mind when you grow. Freedom to walk away from what no longer aligns with your future. freedom to choose again and again until your life reflects who you truly are. Freedom to build a path that honors your purpose, and freedom to trust that every choice you make is a step toward the life you deserve. When you own your decisions, you take control of your destiny with courage, clarity, and intention. You stand strong in your truth, and you begin to shape a life that reflects your deepest desires and highest potential. Embracing your worth is one of the most transformative steps you can take in your journey of personal growth, because your sense of worth determines the quality of the life you allow yourself to live. Many people spend years doubting their value, questioning their abilities, and comparing themselves to others, not realizing that this quiet self-rejection shapes every decision they make. When you do not believe in your worth, you settle for less than you deserve. You accept treatment that harms your spirit, and you silence your voice in moments when it should be heard. But when you embrace your worth, everything begins to shift. You start to walk differently, think differently, choose differently, and live differently, because you understand that your existence alone makes you deserving of respect, love, opportunity, and joy. Embracing your worth does not mean pretending to be perfect. It means recognizing that your value is not based on your achievements, your appearance, your past, or your mistakes. Worth comes from within, from the simple truth that you are enough exactly as you are. This understanding takes time because society often teaches people to measure their value through external things like success, status, or validation. But your worth is not something you earn. It is something you discover and claim. When you finally see yourself as worthy, you stop chasing approval that never satisfies your heart, and you begin to trust your own voice. Believing in your worth also teaches you how to receive. Many people push away love, support, and opportunities because deep down they feel unworthy of them. They sabotage their happiness because they fear they do not deserve good things. Embracing your worth opens your heart to receive what life is trying to give you. You allow yourself to be loved. You allow yourself to be seen. You allow yourself to succeed without feeling guilty. You stop shrinking in the presence of your blessings, and you start stepping into them with gratitude and confidence. When you embrace your worth, you also learn to set higher standards. You recognize that not every situation, relationship, or environment deserves access to your life. You release toxic people who drain your energy. You walk away from opportunities that compromise your values. You stop settling for almost love, almost respect, and almost happiness. Your standards become a reflection of the value you see in yourself. You begin to expect more, not from a place of entitlement, but from a place of self-respect. And when you raise your standards, your life naturally rises with them. Embracing your worth also strengthens your relationship with yourself. You begin to speak to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. You replace self-doubt with self-compassion. You stop judging yourself for past mistakes and start appreciating yourself for your resilience and growth. You honor your emotions, your boundaries, and your dreams. You learn to trust your decisions because they come from a place of clarity rather than insecurity. This internal shift creates a foundation of emotional stability that helps you navigate challenges with strength and wisdom. Another powerful part of embracing your worth is understanding that your presence has impact. You bring value into every space you enter, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Your perspective matters. Your voice matters. Your dreams matter. When you recognize this, you stop hiding behind fear, and you begin to express yourself with confidence. You show up in the world as someone who believes in their purpose and carries themselves with quiet strength. Ultimately, embracing your worth is an act of self-liberation. It frees you from the limitations created by doubt, fear, and comparison. It allows you to create a life based on what you truly desire, rather than what you believe you are allowed to have. When you embrace your worth, you give yourself permission to live boldly, love deeply, dream freely, and rise fully into the person you were always meant to be. In the end, taking control of your life is not a single moment of change, but a series of choices that slowly reshape your existence from the inside out. It begins with choosing yourself, setting boundaries, releasing the weight of the past, owning your decisions, embracing your worth, and walking forward with courage and clarity. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. You are not here to simply survive. You are here to grow, to heal, to rise, and to live with intention. You carry a strength that has been built through every challenge you have faced, and a wisdom that has grown through every lesson you have learned. Your story is still unfolding, and you hold the power to shape it with your choices, your beliefs, and your determination. This is your moment to reclaim your voice, your peace, and your purpose. This is your moment to step in the fullness of who you are. And when you choose to own your power, when you choose to honor your truth, when you choose to rise despite everything you have lived through, you do more than change your life. You begin to create the life you truly deserve.